the Dharma is the underpants of my life. That, we've said this before.
Right.
So.
Hello, I'm honored to be here with Cyndi Lee, longtime friend in the yoga community. How long?
I don't remember. I don't know.
That's how long. So long. But you're looking lovely,
Thank you.
despite the many years that we've known each other. And you're now in Virginia, correct?
Correct.
Right. Where in Virginia?
Lynchburg, Virginia.
Lynchburg. We all know and love Lynchburg. We don't need to talk about Lynchburg. Everyone.
We're working on a name change, but that's where I am right now.
That's
yeah.
a good southern name.
Yeah. It's right in the middle of the state. It's really beautiful.
Southern Jewish, Lynchburg. And Cyndi is a leading yoga teacher. She's here doing DVDs with Gaiam or something.
Yeah, my yoga online.
DVDs you'll remember from the 90s.
Lift and your armpits lift. Shift your weight forward. Down of the tailbone. Armpits lift.
Oh no, so it's all online.
It's online.
My yoga
That's
online.
why it's called online.
Cool. What are you teaching with them?
Yoga. No,
Okay,
I'm teaching
moving
a
on.
series. I did a series called May I Be Happy. So I gave a teaching. I mean, you'll have to tune in, to see the whole thing. But a Maitri teaching about starting with yourself.
So you took the Buddhist teaching and you kind of improved it a little bit. He talked about helping other people. You said, no, let's just focus on me.
Well, Way, that is really a good question, even though it wasn't a question. Because
It was a question.
Okay, well, here's the answer. I always heard Rinpoche saying,
Rinpoche is a Tibetan
Gelek
guru.
Rinpoche, my
Gelek.
Tibetan guru, yes, would always begin his talks, and he still does, begins his talks by saying, do kindly listen to this talk for the benefit of all beings. And I thought, well, that's good, I like that, kind of uplifted, and I felt my motivation, and I want to be a benefit to all beings, and I started that big ass yoga studio, and that was a good motivation, but it gets thin sometimes. It can thin out that inspiration if you don't take care of yourself too.
Right.
And so it took me about 20 years or so to figure out that all beings, I was in that. I'm included in all beings.
So the fundamental sort of Buddhist motivation is to be of benefit to all sentient beings.
Yes.
And many of us forget that includes ourselves.
Right.
So,
and they say it's a two-pronged teaching, right? The Bodhisattva vow. You work for the benefit of all beings and simultaneously, not linear, but simultaneously you work for your own benefit, because if you treat yourself like a schmuck, that's what you imprint. And then you start to treat everyone else like a schmuck. So you have to take care of yourself. You have to do your own practice.
That's our video's title now.
Don't be a schmuck.
Don't.
Don't treat yourself like a schmuck.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something with schmuck. Because
Something
it's from
schmuck.
Lynchburg,
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Center of Jews in the South. So, and speaking of Jews in the South, we're in a brewery right now, which is that hum you hear in the background. And it's the reason I feel like going to take a nap right now. So why are we in a brewery? Maybe that's a question for me, since I asked you to come here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. I ran into you yesterday at the Boulder Auto, our historic hotel here in Boulder, where Teddy Roosevelt stayed. And I said, come to a brewery, meet with us, we'll do this video. You'll catch up on the entire Boulder vibe in like
and
1
tacos.
hour. And taco truck.
Tacos that have kale.
Yeah.
Kale in them.
Yeah, you can't get
and
whiter
sweet
than
potato.
tacos with kale out of a truck.
Yeah. Oh, that's Boulder.
Yeah, that's
Very
Boulder.
Boulder. Yeah, so it's good. I like it here.
So I wanted to ask you about yoga and meditation. So you're one of the very few yoga teachers, famous yoga teachers, who actually also studies that Buddhist meditation stuff. So what's all that about?
Yeah.
Like, is it a religion? How does it apply to stuff? Why is it practical? Why do you enjoy doing it?
Well, I don't always enjoy doing it.
Okay,
But,
moving on.
But I like, well, the meditation and the whole Buddhist view I think is a very good ground for life. And so it really is my life at this point. And I think that, I had a little moment in my sitting practice last summer. I went on a rohatsu, not a rohatsu, but a sesshin with Norman Fisher.
So an extended Buddhist meditation retreat.
Long, no talking, no nothing. No writing, no reading. At very intense Buddhist retreat, Zen retreat, Rupaya Zen Center with Roshi Norman Fisher. And it was really beautiful there. It was really peaceful. And it was in the summertime. And you sit for hours and hours and hours. So every afternoon I'm meditating, I'm sitting there, but really often I'm thinking, okay, this is the second of the 3-hour sessions,
right.
And then we'll get through the third one, and then we
it's
get
like
to
a
have
marathon.
Dinner, and then we get to have a nap, and then we come, like that. You're kind of counting down, right? So that's not the purpose of it, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
And one day I was sitting in the afternoon, and I just felt very relaxed and very kind of open, and I wasn't falling asleep. And then I realized that I had been sitting like that for maybe a moment, maybe 2 moments, I don't know. But it was very, very pleasant, and I wasn't thinking about when would this session be over.
Where am I going?
Where am I going? When is this over? Yeah. And then I realized that, and then it changed, and something else happened or didn't happen.
Sure.
And I told Roshi Fisher about it, and he said, that's called joy and contentment. And that's the ground of our existence. And once in a while, opening, clearing comes in our habitual momentum, and we experience that joy and contentment. And so that's the answer. That's why I do it.
So I'm a busy entrepreneur. I have a staff. I look at my calendar and my entire day is full. Yeah. And it's, even though it's stuff I care about, it's pretty speedy and very few gaps, and it's exhausting. And sometimes it's hard to get out of bed. So it's apt that you say meditation is there to kind of give us some sense of appreciation of our lives.
Yeah.
And many of us love, like we're in a brewery, we find appreciation of our lives watching a baseball game or drinking a beer or going for a hike, but we can actually do that in a fundamental way without any...
We don't need conditions.
We don't need conditions. And then we can extend that to everything, even the hard stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Norman Fisher said to me. He said, this is our ground, and when you leave this retreat and you go to the airport, there will be, most likely some kind of, interaction that's unpleasant and irritating or something like that. And he said, that's okay, that's just what you're doing then. We're just 2 people and you're having this thing, but underneath it is this other ground. And the other thing about practice is it's all gom, it's getting familiar. That's the Tibetan word.
G-O-M?
Yeah, which means getting familiar. So sometimes we think, and this is where you start really, you get familiar with your suffering, you get familiar with your stress, right? You just talked about it. You wake up and right away you go right to that habit, and you're familiar with it. I wake up and go, I want to do all this, but right? But you can, through the practice, you can also start to get familiar with when that doesn't happen, or when there's a gap, when there's an opening.
Yeah.
And so your default can shift over time.
So what you're saying is actually, for yoga people out there, it sounds nice because you're eloquent and sweet and funny, beautiful, but it's actually incredibly controversial because most of the yoga world, like I was just in a yoga class the other day, and the whole class, they literally were, how yoga teachers love to spout off spirituality while you're trying to do yoga? They're saying, anything negative that comes up, toxic, just push it out. And any love or good feeling, breathe it in. And it's actually kind of bad advice. In our life, we actually have to deal with hard things all the time. And pretending it's not there, pushing it away, stiff upper lip, suppressing it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We have to actually, as Pema Chodron says, if we expand our hearts we find can get bigger infinitely.
Yes.
We can actually handle life with a smile, with that sense of relaxation. Yeah. We can be warriors in the world, peaceful warriors.
Yeah. Well, Roshi Halifax talks about that, Joan Halifax.
We interviewed her. Link's right there.
In the brewery?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in a winery in her case, but yeah.
Well, and she talks about capacity. And that's what we're doing with our practice, is expanding our capacity. So Pema says you're making your heart bigger. You're making your capacity for compassion bigger. You're making your capacity for all the paramitas, for generosity, patience, discipline, wholehearted enthusiasm. It's more at your access because you get familiar with it.
Gom.
Gom, G-O-M.
And then you have a sense of humor about your life. You're not trying to push away anything negative and hold on to anything positive.
There I go again.
Yeah, you can actually kind of be fearless and sort of have fun.
It's a little lighter.
A little bit.
And the thing about like pushing away what's negative, I think there's a few issues with that. And one is defining what's negative, and again, in the Buddhist view, there's negativity for sure. There's negative habits, anger, but there's also the idea of sacred worlds, and a lot of things that people might think are toxic, we don't necessarily think are toxic.
Right.
They're transformational.
There's a lot of articles on elephant, which I don't control absolutely, that are about like 18 ways to get rid of toxic relationships in your life, and you're like, well, you're probably going to be doomed to a lifetime of feeling like people who don't agree with your ego and make you happy are toxic in some way.
Right.
And yes, there are problematic people and problematic emotions in and of ourselves as well.
Right.
But we have to kind of deal with it at some point.
Well, yeah, and it's, again, all this is not linear. It's like if you move, another part of our practice is moving from purification to accumulation to, you could say detoxing or letting go. And gaining, but we're gaining something as well. And it's not just as simple as saying, get rid of negativity, because there, underneath that is a lot of juicy stuff to dig into. That is you.
Yeah.
So you can't get rid of yourself.
Yeah.
But you can get rid of how you relate to things, and you can shift those patterns. And as soon as you do that, you start to gain benefit.
But I love that you said you can't get rid of yourself. What does that mean?
Well, you don't want to get rid of your. I mean, well, okay.
Like if I'm, like I have neurotic habitual patterns.
Really?
You don't know about them. They're not obvious to anybody, but they're there. People think of me as I have my shit together. Everything's dialed.
Perfect.
Yeah, I've got my convertible Tesla. But we all have our things that we don't like about ourselves, and that also get us into trouble again and again.
Yeah.
But so we're not trying to get rid of that stuff. We're not trying to lose 5 pounds of habitual patterns. We're trying to make friends with ourselves.
Well, I think that you have to make friends with yourself in order to lose them.
Yeah. Like the saying, the quote in our recent interview we did was, you have to accept who you are, then you can change. Yeah.
And then you're just changing habits. You're not really getting rid of yourself in that way,
Yeah, life, you have to you want to blossom as who you are.
And everything happens in its own time. I'm over 60 now, so I can say stuff like that.
Right.
Everything happens in its own time. You start to realize, like, wow, I've finally gotten to the place where I don't need to do that thing anymore. I'm not attracted, I'm not compelled to do this irritating thing I used to always do.
Yeah.
Some things fade out with age, but also with just you begin to not be so neurotic.
Yeah, I remember in my 20s I was like super uncomfortable with my own loneliness. Like I had to go out every Friday night, and I had to be cool. Even if I wasn't cool, I had to try and be cool. And now that I'm 32,
this has got a math problem.
Yeah, I'm just completely fine with like staying in and watching Netflix and eating popcorn with my dog.
But are you fine with being 40?
Yes, actually. I mean, I don't have a choice.
Exactly.
So,
well, there you are.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, hello.
Yeah. Yeah. No, honestly, it's kind of great. I mean, that's the thing about aging, right? You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And if you kind of embrace it, and you don't, the most annoying thing is not being comfortable with your wrinkles or your balding or your fat.
Get over it.
Yeah, you have to get over it.
Get over it. And it's just really a little bit boring in a way.
Yeah.
But the thing about
I love
aging,
that. Our habitual patterns are actually boring.
It get boring after a while. It's just like, come on. I don't want to. I'm not. I can't even get it up to do that annoying.
Not that old
thing.
yet, but yeah.
But yeah. Well, I had something interesting to say, but I know what it was. The thing about aging.
Yeah, you had a huge thing to talk about.
It was awesome. We were already aging. We were aging when we went from 2 to 3. I mean, that's all life is you're aging and then you die. You know. So this whole thing of like, well, now I'm aging. It's like, what's new?
Right. No, that's so true because, I mean, that's actually we say that in the Buddhist chant. We say, from the stormy waves of being born, aging, sickness and dying, is a continual process of change. Like anything you ever get, even if you get your brand new BMW i8, you know, you drive it a couple times and then before you know it, it's a year old and you're not the cool douchebag on the block anymore. Right. You have to get a new car. Like you can never hold on to anything.
Nothing. Yeah. Not even a
thought. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool. Well, we sorted all that out for people. Enjoy. So, I mean, speaking of not being able to hold on to things, so you're in love with a very handsome PhD professor guy in Lynchburg.
College president.
College president, much more than professor. That was awesome. Cool. But the serious question there is, all your study, all these years of meditation and yoga, how does that inform your relationship? For all of us out there, relationship is this big tangled knot of, you know, lust and love and confusion and, you know, it's a tough one, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, for me, what's come up a lot is joy and appreciation for another person that is just a really great person.
Yeah.
And he's a great person whether I ever see him again. And I like him so much that I want to make him feel good. So I encourage him and I, you know, tell him he's a great person and that I appreciate him. And so it's a kind of positive.
So we have nothing, it just sounds like a perfect relationship.
It is perfect.
That none of us can learn anything from. Because we're all in our, like, down here in our swamp.
No, that you can, what's wrong with what I just told you? Why can't you learn from
Appreciate your partner?
Yeah, appreciate yourself and appreciate when you know, the thing is, especially for women, I know some men do this too. I definitely know some men that have done this because it's been done to me. But we women, we do like to think of boyfriends as projects. You know? You know, and you like to change your hairdo and change the way you dress. Right. And maybe, couldn't you, you know, maybe eat differently?
Don't wear those shirts, they're so baggy. Wear the nice V-neck, like whatever, and get different glasses, cut your hair.
And it's just, I don't think so. But I didn't do an internal makeover, and that was the point.
So you can appreciate him for his good points, his foibles.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has annoying things, but really, I don't feel like getting annoyed by this person and going into that shit because there's so much good there, and it's so, you know, it's inspiring to be together. We just really enjoy it, and we, you know, are making a great life together.
So if you have a
why hold on to the, you know, bad mood?
So does yoga and meditation inform that, or is that just your life maturity? Sounds...
meditation and Buddhist practice inform. As you know, the Dharma is the underpants of my life. We've said this before.
Dharma is fundamental to your...
Yeah.
How you manifest.
I mean, I do my best, you know. Yeah. But that's a good map. A good map to refer to. So sure, it helps me. Yoga, you know, I think in a way I have a better understanding of Dharma than yoga.
Even though you're known as more of a famous yoga teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I can teach a pretty good yoga class.
Right.
But really, my narrative that I bring into it is more drawn from my Buddhist practice.
Well, in my limited experience with you, which is too limited to my liking, but whenever I see you, you're full of humor and caring. And those are two aspects that I don't always feel in the yoga community, which can be very kind of great for the world, like very outward facing and optimistic, but often very kind of happy, and anything negative, like let's push it away. And there's a lack of humor in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I might be acting that way a little bit right now because I'm all, you know,
Hanging out at Guyam.
hanging out at Guyam and,
Yeah.
you know, having this cute boyfriend and everything.
Oh,
But,
I see. Right.
Yeah.
Everything's working out right
Yeah,
now.
but, you know, we have our days, we have our moments. I mean, Lynchburg can be challenging, so
Yeah.
you know, life is full of adventures, but
Hmm.
but in the end, you're just still stuck with yourself, you know, even if you're lonely.
There's our pull-out quote.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Interviewing Cyndi Lee, famous yoga teacher and Buddhist yoga teacher in a brewery.
A famous brewery.
Thank you for
Famous
leaving
Waylon.
the borough that is Lynchburg. You know, the Jewish borough of Lynchburg.
My pleasure. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
I love Cyndi. So now that the camera stopped rolling, I just wanted to say, so I did this recent really amazing interview with Richard Freeman.
I saw it. I
Yeah,
loved it.
he's a pretty big deal guy. Very exclusive interview. He only did it for me. And I said in the very beginning of that interview, I said, "You're probably my favorite yoga teacher." And now that we're off camera, it's just between you and me. I just wanted to say the only thought, and this is true, in my mind when I said that was, it was you. You and Richard, and 14 years ago or something, I was the PR marketing guy for
Yeah.
Shambhala Mountain Center.
Yeah.
And we created a program with you and Richard.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the first times I got to know you for sure.
Yeah.
And anyway, you have humor and heart and, you know, some sense of meditation as being a part of yoga, which are three things that are lacking. And I'm very grateful for that. So,
Right.
thank you. And
Off
style
camera.
and all that. Yeah.
Just off the
Yeah.
record.
Yeah. No, we're not filming that. So thank you. Richard, Cyndi, vote below. Which one's biggest?
No more beer for you.
Which one's best?
No more beer for you.
Yeah.
You drank all of these.
Yeah, they're empty. They are empty, I think. They're just cans, right?